Welcome to K Gallery's virtual reception at Rhythmics Cultural Works. This is our online version of our gallery shows, and this is the third one that we've had a reception for. Actually, no, yes, it is the third one. So K Gallery supports all of Rhythmics' missions to bring people together to build community by inspiring engagement in the arts. I'm Janet Koika, the founder and gallery director at Rhythmics. Tonight we are excited to have an online reception with Shauna Rosenblum. The body of work on exhibition is titled Texture of a Moment. In her words, Texture of a Moment is a study of human emotion and conscious experience. The paintings are feelings captured in visual form. So tonight, Shauna is going to share with you not only her work and some process videos, but she will also be answering questions, and I am delighted to introduce Shauna Rosenblum.
Hi guys. Hi Miss Milgram. All right, hello everybody. Thank you all so much for coming to spend a Saturday night live in an art gallery. It's kind of exciting really, because we have people from near and far. We have people in Oklahoma, Georgia, Colorado, all joining us here. So that's kind of better even in a sense. So really excited to share this body of work with you guys. Bean and Janet and all the folks at Rhythmics, thank you guys so much for giving me the opportunity. We started talking about 18 months ago and saying, hey, would I be interested in putting a piece into, a show in the gallery? And then the conversation kind of meandered into, would I be interested in doing a whole solo show? And so Janet very generously gave me more than a year to come up with this entire body of work. And it's been a phenomenal process. And I have to say, COVID-19 has definitely had some impact on the end of my work. And so I think we'll just jump in here and just start talking. Feel free to unmute yourself and join the conversation whenever you feel like you have a comment. Let's just all pretend like we're in the gallery chatting. So let's see, I'm gonna share my screen.
Hi, Miss Milgram. Oh my gosh. Hi, Miss Milgram. I used to be your student. That's amazing.
Kat, that's where we met, was Miss Milgram's class.
That's right.
Okay, so this first one, this has been sort of the cover picture that we've used, and this is called Getting Comfortable with Getting Uncomfortable. And I started this painting at the beginning of 2020, not knowing just how completely different the meaning of this painting would be by halfway through 2020. So these paintings are really quite sculptural. My background is in fine art. My undergraduate degree is in ceramics from California College of Arts and Crafts. My master's is in sculpture from San Francisco Art Institute. And then I became enamored with the process of chemistry through the application of glaze making. And I grew up in a winery with my parents. And so once I started understanding how applicable glaze chemistry was to wine chemistry, I was sold on winemaking. And so I've been a winemaker for 13 years now. And the chemical processes and chemical reactions that I started learning about in chemistry have definitely influenced my art. So this is really quite a textured piece. And there's a lot of different materials that I used. So there's like great stuff, foam sealant, there's balloons on here. So I glued balloons and then popped them. And this is a little video just panning across so that you guys can see sort of the various textures here. So as Janet was saying, texture of moments, for me, these are really about human emotion, conscious experience, and really trying to capture that sort of indescribable, special unnamable quality that elicits an emotional response or a feeling. I feel like these little pieces of time and place and fabric are the texture of the human experience. And so that's what I was trying to capture with these.
What were you feeling when you painted this?
That's such a good question. I think this is really about like all the brain synapses firing that comes with being excited, amused, confused, all of the above. Let's see, there's our fancy YouTube. And so it's not only necessarily about, you know, what I was feeling while I was painting it, but really what quality it makes you feel when you look at it as well, right? So Marble Run is what I call this one. And this is, so this is 20 by 24. I'll give you guys the sizes because obviously it's a little difficult to see. But these paintings have layers and layers and layers. I don't sit down and work on them, you know, in one go. It's like over 6 or 7 months. Every time I feel drawn to a specific canvas, I'll start working on it again. Now, this one was really exciting to use because I utilized a lot of the chemical reaction processes. So there's ground metal with cobalt, ground copper in a water-based medium, and iron oxide and sodium silicate to create the chemical reaction with the metal, and sort of like to create a patina almost like you would on, like if you were working with jewelry. And I have a cool process video after looking at a couple of the details here.
So Shauna, how do you protect it?
See, so I love that we were just talking about your painting, right? That you did with wine, because wine is alive, right? And it'll continue to oxidize. And so some of these are in the same vein where, not this one's protected with gel medium on top, but,
okay.
But there's another one down the line that is painted with turmeric, and it is intentionally not preserved because I want it to continue to oxidize. So let's see. Wait, that's the panning.
So what are all the materials in this?
Lots of different ones, and I even list water because there's a lot of push and pull that I'm looking to do to try and get these beautiful sort of moments within each piece. And so that stuff on the canvas right there, that's the cobalt. And so running marbles through it to try and get this really specific trajectory line. That's hard to get with anything except a sort of true to.
So is that a cobalt powder?
That one is, yeah,
Mixed.
cobalt powder mixed with gel medium and water. And then this
Okay.
stuff right here, Sophisticated Finishes, there's, they make some pretty cool stuff for chemical reactions. Sometimes I store by them. Sometimes I mix them just based on what chemicals I have.
So
But
can you describe some of the chemical reactions going on?
Sure. So right now, this black iron oxide is interacting with the cobalt. You see how it just separates and then it dried. So that was the first layer. This is the second layer. So more cobalt and then more of the black iron oxide. And if you look at it, it starts the oxidation process and it starts separating and marbling almost immediately because they're repelling each other. This was one of my favorites. I'm really, really excited about this one. It's hanging in my dining room right now.
It's so cool, Shauna. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Shauna, is there metal behind the frame?
No.
So that lattice work, is that all coming from the liquids just running and marbleizing?
Yeah, so liquids running and marbleizing, and then every single one of these paintings has a minimum of like 10 to 15 layers. And so some of them are throwing paint and then hosing it off or scrubbing it off or whatever, you know, the painting calls for.
What do you start with as your surface?
Oh, it really depends. So that's a great a great segue to this piece. So this piece is called Cavernous. And the first layer of this piece is knockdown texture. So that stuff that textures your wall, you probably never knew it had a name. It's called knockdown texture. And so you can buy it and you spray it on there, and then you can either knock it down, knockdown texture, or you can leave it and it's more three-dimensional and more sculptural. So I do a combination of both of those things. And then this is knockdown texture, spray paint, and acrylic paint. And this is 30 by 30 inches. And a lot of, this one was painted with sticks as well. I remember I frayed the end of a stick and was using that to paint.
You know, this is a show that you really want to be at.
Yeah, that's exactly what when I said to Janet, she was like, oh, well, we could do it virtually. And I'm like, well, this is ironic. I made a body of work about texture.
No,
Yeah.
I know. Well, it's
Yeah,
so
I
sad.
mean, if any show I've ever been to that I'd want to actually see and feel, this would be it. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, I think you're spot on. And we're hoping maybe, you know, if COVID ever ends, that we'll be able to display this in person.
Yes,
You know,
please.
Shauna, to add on to that, the missing of texture.
Yeah.
I just did a workshop on listening and how 70% of listening actually, or speaking or communicating, is from nonverbal, 70%. And so if you think about it, we can only see 10% of our bodies right now, which is our head.
I like that. There's a math equation in here somewhere.
I'm actually not that technical, but people listen better when I have those numbers.
I love it.
Like experiencing your art is like, I have that longing too. It's like, I love the close up of it, but I'm also wish I was
Face to face.
face to face. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And this one, so this is one of the largest ones. This one's 36 by 48. And let's see, I'm wondering, let me see if I can.
So do you think about something specific when you're doing these, like that says layers of nostalgia, like nostalgia for what?
Exactly, Liz. Nostalgia for what? All these different things, all these different layers. So let me share this screen right here, because I think I can get you guys a closer look at this one.
Pretty.
So this one really has a lot of the addition and subtraction going on. And I think, you know, a lot of these, I think you can sort of feel the push and pull, not only of emotion, but of materials representing emotion.
I get sort of this like yin yang vibe from it.
Totally, totally. Okay.
You can really see all the layers in that one. That was interesting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Probably more layers than I've ever seen in any paintings. That's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Must
The
admit,
pro for a virtual show is that the people from Georgia, Colorado, Oklahoma probably wouldn't be at the gallery if it were a real gallery show.
I agree. And I think we have a nice little video here that we can watch.
your whole collection is quite well timed given what we've gone through this year, talking about nostalgia and cavernous and all of these types of emotions.
Thank you, Jane. Hi. Yeah, it was interesting. You know, I wanted to make like 25 pieces. And I made about 28 and ended up putting 13 in the show here. And some of them just seemed so irrelevant once I was sort of juxtaposing them against these bizarre and unprecedented times that we're living through. But these 13 felt like they just felt so perfectly appropriate. So it all kind of came together.
Hey, Shauna, were any of these pieces made after COVID started?
Many of which were almost all of them were at least touched up or finished, and layers added. There are only 2 actually that weren't touched post-COVID, and I'll speak to those.
That's why we have those great process videos, because you did them in the last few months.
Yeah, Janet, that was such a good addition. Janet's like, do you mind recording yourself doing this art? And I'm like, I mean, I'll try.
You did a great job. The stop motion one is great.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait to show you guys a couple more process videos here. So this is one of the ones that was not touched up post-COVID. So this was actually one of the first paintings that I did after my dad passed away. And it's called Changed. It's 16 by 20. And this was just a very raw version of my emotions and just everything I was feeling. The first, I think probably 10 pieces that I did after my dad passed away, I was utilizing the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, because we had always been, a 4-person family. And so 1, 2, 3, and 4 became really, really important in a lot of the process. And you'll see that over a couple of these pieces as well. This is the second one that I did after my dad passed away. And these 2 are really sort of the anchors in the beginning of this body of work. And so I think
That's gorgeous.
Thank you so much. So I call this one Stargazer. And this one is a blend of acrylic and tempera. So I was able to use tempera and water to get that crackling effect in the middle there. Yeah, this one has, both of those 2 just have so much raw emotion in them. I can just feel it looking at them.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Julia.
They do feel different from the rest of the pieces.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see, like for me, it was really fascinating to like feel this evolution of this body of work coming together, and just how much I learned about my own process and everything that I was doing within this body of work, this one framework. There was evolution. So again, there's the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 that I've utilized in here, and that's actually the name of this painting.
What did you use to get the comb-like kind of feather or waves at the top right corner?
My finger and my fingernail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they're not that long right now, but at one point they were.
I thought you were going to say a tree branch.
No, I do use a lot of tree branches, but that wasn't the one there. All right, this next one, All That Glitters. Boy, this feels just like our reality right now. This one is just about like the emotions of American capitalism and how it plays on the backs of us, of people. Hold on one second. My daughter is like messing with my dog. Hold on one second.
Well, let me take a moment then to thank all of you who came tonight. It's really great to have this kind of response. And I know you can't respond to me by asking you if you've come to Rhythmics, but if you haven't, I hope this is a good introduction. She's back.
Okay, hi, sorry about that. If my dog starts barking, my neighbor's dog will start barking, and then no one will get anything done. So this painting it's big. It's 36 by 36, and there's texture on this one that sticks out almost an inch. off of the canvas. Let me see, we've got the panning video here. And those gold coins that are on there are actual gold coins from the Follow Charlie car wash, if you guys remember that thing. But I like the concept of not only a gold coin, but something that had to do with like washing money, and it just really played into everything I was thinking about with this particular piece.
We still have one down the street from us in Everett.
But yeah, this one also has other things for texture. There's cotton fabric, O-rings, sand. I've used a lot of sand in these pieces too. All right, next one. I love this piece right here. I call this one Indefatigable. And this is another one that utilizes the chemical reaction processes. So this is all, that's rust. That rust color is not the color of rust, that is actual rust. And so I ground copper into a water-based medium, and then put iron oxide and sodium silicate solution to make the rust happen. And it's still continuing to oxidize. So Aunt Marion, this is one of the ones that's sort of alive and evolving.
This is beautiful. I love the teal.
Thank
with the
you
orange.
so much. Thank you.
Love this.
It's gorgeous.
Is it on canvas or is it on metal?
All of these are on canvas. Yeah, so if there's enough layers, you can get metal paint to actually have a chemical reaction on the canvas. And there's multiple chemical reactions in here, so.
What is the brown black color? Is that paint or another chemical reaction?
The brown black, that kind of like orangey brown, that's all rust. That's like actual rust. So the metal that I've painted on there, I then painted something that continues to make the metal oxidize, which is what creates rust, in the environment.
Even the tree-like structure, that's amazing.
So the black part of it, that's paint. So that is,
gotcha.
That's black acrylic paint that I thinned down. So it's like as watery as water. It's very liquidy. And then I put it in the patterns that I want. And then I start turning the canvas in a pattern. And once I start turning the canvas, all of the paint starts rushing down. And as soon as I change directions, it all rushes down another way. And so I have to be very cognizant of what shapes I'm ultimately trying to end up with. But there's no real control in that. It just needs to, I guess the lack of control there is sort of what that painting is about, how rust is going to do its thing. Chemical reactions are going to be what they are.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
How long do you wait to paint after you do the chemical reactions?
I let them dry completely. If I have the option to let them sit in the sun for a little bit and even get some UV exposure, that's really good too. So this next one, I'm gonna actually go like kind of backwards here. We're gonna look at this one. So this is called Endeavor. And showing you guys this, these pieces, or the finished piece first, to go back so you can see the process. And when I was making this one, I was feeling sort of Sisyphean with this painting, meaning thinking about like Sisyphus, the myth of Sisyphus, right? Like pushing this stone up the hill forever and ever. But the process of how we get to that painting is I think it's interesting. And Janet, thank you for making me do these videos, because no one sees the process except me. And now you guys get to, and it's exciting. So that's all styrofoam and glue. And so I'll do like a layer of paint on there first, sort of like a rough draft of the shapes that I want on there. And then this particular one, glue. I use glue on everything. Glue just gets this beautiful texture, this beautiful depth, and you can sculpt glue once it starts to dry a little bit.
So what kind of glue?
Elmer's glue.
Okay.
Elmer's glue. I've got gallons of Elmer's glue. So then this is the second pass at it once all of that dried. More glue. And then it gets its last little touch at the end here. So there's a bunch of water in there. So it's black acrylic paint and mostly water. And so all of those pieces that I've put in place kind of direct the trajectory of the paint. So that's that one, Endeavor. And that one's 16 by 20. Let's see, the next one here, this is called Precarious. I love this painting. This is maybe one of my favorites in my body of work, but don't tell the others.
I love this one.
Thank you, I do too. There's a lot of depth without being a lot of physical texture in this one. Most of the physical textures in sort of the bottom right corner, but the depth and texture is really based on colors. So there's no process video for this one, but you can kind of see the entire background of this canvas. I painted blue like an ocean first. And so you can kind of see that through the little nooks and crannies in some of these areas. All right, and then this one was 100% COVID inspired. This is called Determination. And I needed to respond to everything that I was seeing and feeling and hearing in the news about, yeah, like the literal determination of doctors and nurses and first responders, the determination of the virus itself, the determination of all of us as a people and as a society trying to combat all of that. And so this is made out of vinyl gloves and glue.
It's so raw.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it's rock hard. This thing is hard as a rock.
This is awesome. I love this one.
Thank you.
Were those gloves used?
No. I know what's funny is while I was making it, I was like, there was a frivolity to using this thing that was also kind of a scarcity during this time that I felt another like push and pull with, that just felt like it had to be explored. And then last but certainly not least, this is my Baker's Dozen, my number 13. This is called Counterbalance. And this is painted with kinetic sand and turmeric mixed with water. And so kinetic sand, if you have kids, you probably know what kinetic sand is. But the chemicals that make kinetic sand it's sand that's coated in dimethicone, which is silicone oil. So if you ever see beauty products or hair products that say like silicone free, it means they don't have dimethicone in them. Dimethicone's really bad for our bodies, for our skin, for our hair, and yet it's in so many cosmetics and so many things that we rub on our faces and put on our hair on a daily basis. And so I wanted to, again, make sort of a juxtaposition of something that was oxidizing and then something that was the opposite. So turmeric, which is good for like inflammation and is sort of, you know, the opposite of oxidation, right? Reduction.
So what part's the turmeric?
All of the orange parts are the turmeric, and the turmeric, the bottom parts right there that are brown, that's the dimethicone with the turmeric together. So the turmeric went on there first, and then the dimethicone on top, which oxidized the turmeric.
What did you mix or suspend the turmeric in?
Just water. And then it's coated with a little bit of gel medium on top.
So Shauna, this sand that you used, was it colored?
Yeah, blue.
Blue? Okay.
Yeah. And so it ends up looking, I don't know, like kind of a dystopian beach scene is kind of how I see this one. But yeah, guys, so that's what I've been working on for the past year and a half.
Wow.
Great.
So awesome.
Sean, I have a question.
Yeah.
I love the glove one. I'm actually just distracted by that one right now. And it reminds me of going on my daily walks and seeing masks on the ground and wanting to pick them up, but I'm also like
freaked out. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you thinking about not use masks, and I know they're scarce, but masks in a piece?
Yeah, I think my background, I used to teach found object sculpture at the Malonga Castlelord Center for the Arts and at Studio One. And found object sculpture is something that I've always found really fascinating because it takes things that already exist in the world that people have sort of ditched, for lack of a better term, and repurposes them, right? And so, yeah, I think that concept definitely, and it feels inspiring, and it feels like there's a lot of room to grow there, particularly now in the climate that we're living through. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah,
I just think this was fascinating, Shauna. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so
I
glad
loved
we
it.
were able to coordinate all this. Super
Loved
cool.
it. Loved it. Take care.
Thank you. You too, Mary.
I had a question just about your use of color, because you're all over the place in terms of the colors that inspire you and that make up your palettes. And then I was surprised to hear you say that the one that was pink was your very favorite one, because that was really the only one that had a lot of pink in it. And I was just wondering, when you start your creative process, do you have a palette in mind, or do you just kind of go with whatever's around you and sort of take that found object approach to it? Or
Say hi. We got a person. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, the Skylar show.
Hi.
So yes and no. I really, I try to take the same approach with making a lot of this art that I do with winemaking and with making sculpture and all of these things, where like, I feel like it's going to be whatever it's going to be, and I'm sort of the catalyst to guide it to whatever it's going to be. So I take cues from whatever feels right. It's a very intuitive process. But if I have a gallon of red paint, might start with red.
Yeah.
And then see how it manifests from there. Yes, honey. No.
No.
No,
Oh, I'm not gonna do.
No, please
You're
stop.
just gonna give us a background.
I don't want a background. Thank you. My daughter's so sophisticated on Zoom. I know. Yes, go ahead. You can do it on Dad's.
how old is she now?
She's 5. She's starting kindergarten in 3 weeks, which is, going to be a different thing. It's all distant learning, and she's going to be in a dual language immersion program. So sounds like I'll be teaching her Spanish, which is fun because I don't know Spanish. but we'll be learning together.
All right.
Yeah.
And does she ever paint with you in your process?
All the time. In fact, I have one of my favorite pieces that she's ever done. I'd love to show you guys. I absolutely love this piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looks like she's learned something from mom already.
I think she has. Yeah, I know. My husband at one point was like, is that yours or hers?
Looks like the United States attacked by COVID, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, it really, and look at Florida.
Oh, that's the first thing. It's like a swamp. It's like the Florida swamp in the corner there.
Oh,
That is
Really good, Sky.
Is she gonna give us her interpretation? I would love to hear it.
Yeah, what do you think of your art piece here, honey?
You know what?
What?
She's gonna put
Please
a background.
Okay. Yeah, there's talking about art. She's very background zoom motivated. I don't know why, but this is just what it is.
How has COVID impacted both of your art?
Well, I'm not, as you know, winery work is a lot of hours, so I'm not at the winery physically as many hours. Can you please move? Can you please move? I'm sorry. Can you move so I can see the camera, please? You can share it with me. Come on. There you go.
Oh no, here comes mine.
Squished.
We're a little. Okay, this is not for little people. Okay. Okay.
Hi, Kalani.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hi.
Skylar. She just showed some of her art.
How is harvest going to? Are you going to look for art to be your escape during harvest, or especially during COVID, or how does all that fit together?
Question. We're not going to be doing much of a harvest. The tasting room's been closed for 4 months, so we have no money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think everybody feels that.
Yeah. All right. Can you please stop? I'm on a call.
Shauna.
Yeah.
I love that you paint with your kid. I still like to create. We've been creating together. I like to. It's okay. It's not our show at all. But I like to share a piece that my son drew. If that's
Please,
okay,
please.
right?
I'd love it. I'd love it.
Can I share your art? Okay. Okay.
I want to take that off.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna go pick it. I framed it because I'm that mom. Hold on.
Hey, Shauna, do you have any plans to open the tasting room for people to be able to be outside, or to give them at a walk-up or anything?
We can't right now. I mean, we have to be able to serve food, and Scolari's isn't able to do that right now. So our hands are tied until stage 4, unfortunately. What does that say?
It's
not
my cousin.
My cousin.
Aww.
That's heart-wrenching.
Yeah. Is this in response to some of the social speaking you've been doing?
This happened before I spoke. I was both, can you hear me? I was, I'm proud, but I was also, thank you, baby. We see it now. Can I sit back down? Thank you. Okay, thank you. It was shocking because, my kid's 4, and I'm proud that he's also listening, but just, he's my teacher. I'm following him right now.
Yeah.
And he drew this. So
By myself.
By yourself. Well, Kalani, I'm so glad you're expressing yourself. That's really important.
What do you say?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm going to go on mute now, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for letting us share.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Shauna,
Yeah.
can you describe the connection? I know you said that you were attracted to the chemistry and glaze, ceramic glazes, and that led you to winemaking, but can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So my family had a winery growing up, Rosenblum Cellars, and I always worked in the in the cellar and in the tasting room, and, you know, not the most glamorous stuff, usually like dumping spit buckets. And then, you know, by the time I was 12, I started working on the bottling line. And then when I was a teenager, the winemaking team allowed me to sit in on blends with them. And it was, you know, six winemakers, and they'd sit around and they'd have their control cups of wine, and they'd blend in a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And so during my my ceramics schooling, I took a class called Clay and Glaze Technology. And one of the things I had to do was I had to create 20 glazes from scratch. And so I made my base glaze out of, you know, my bentonite and my silica, and created this base glaze, and I was dividing it up into all my cups and making chemical additions into each one. And I had that literal light bulb epiphany moment that I was like, I already know how to do this. This is the exact same process as blending wine. And I knew that there were chemical reactions that happened in the fermentation process and chemical reactions that happened in the glaze making process. And I think that transformation, like literally that moment of transformation, was just always really fascinating to me. And so I wanted to continue to pursue that. And that's really the long and short of that story. But yeah, winemaking and ceramics and sculpture all really informed one another for me.
Sounds almost like you were finding a white wine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bentonite, Jane, exactly. And so, like, you know, when I'd go into the winery and I'm like, oh, bentonite, like what grade of bentonite? Like how fine is this? Like, what are we doing? And food grade bentonite that we use, you know, for finding white wine is a little bit different. It's really the same thing. It's clay, but food grade is just a little bit finer. There's not as much, Jane will know the term like MOG, right? Like material other than material other than bentonite.
Exactly. Yeah, it plays off your whole concept, whatever you're the chemistry behind it, because the bentonite could have excess minerals that we wouldn't want to go into wine. Like, all feeds so well into your story. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Do you feel like it still affects your winemaking now?
Oh yeah, wine and art, I think will, now that I've seen the symbiotic relationship, I think they will always continue to inform each other, for sure. For sure.
So how has COVID impacted your winemaking?
Well, I probably won't be doing any because we don't have any money, because our tasting room's been closed for 4 months. So it's definitely having I would say a devastating impact.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you're not making any wine right now, other than what you already have barreled and.
Yeah, so harvest time is usually starts in mid-August for me because I make sparkling wine. But yeah, we're pretty well positioned with inventory right now, but you know, we've seen multi-million-dollar losses being closed for 4 months. So there's just, you can't buy things with money you don't have, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, I think, you know, that feeling of devastation has definitely informed a lot of the emotion that's gone into some of this body of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you planning on displaying any of your art post-COVID when we return?
Yes, so that's what Janet and I were talking about. We were saying maybe we'll do like an instant replay and actually do this in the summer of 2021 live.
That would be wonderful. That'd be great.
Yeah, I would love that. Well, thank you all so much. I'm so honored that you all came and spent a little while on Saturday night with me, and tell all your friends. The paintings will be up on the Rhythmic site under K Gallery till the end of August.
Amazing body of work, Shauna.
Well,
thank you all so much.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Shauna, for sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate all of you. Thank you, guys.
It makes us all feel a little connected right now, so that's a good thing.
I think so. Yeah, we're all, you know, unfortunately, this is a collective human experience right now. So, but
I'll say, yeah.
And Janet, thank you for having Shauna do the process videos. I think that was interesting.
I agree.
It was just a suggestion, and she really did a lot with that. So now she's raised the bar for everybody else out.
Well, my son was, he's here in my mix because it's mama and son time, and he was like marbles.
Yeah.
We're doing Shauna, I guess what we're doing tomorrow.
Oh, I love it. Well,
And
thank
tree
you.
branches.
Yeah.
It means the absolute world to me that you guys were here tonight. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Air hug. Thank you.
Yeah, air hug.
Hey, great work.
All right. You guys all take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
And
Bye.
I'll make you so you can.
Oh, baby.
Gotta go.